used to be a truck driver, right? One day I had this load of penguins in the truck. And this cop pulls me over and he says, "Where you going with them penguins?" I said, "Don't worry, officer, I'm taking them to the zoo." And the cop says, "Okay, well, be on your way, be careful driving." So the next day he passes me on the road going the opposite direction. And again he pulls me over, he says, "Where you going with them penguins? I thought you were going to take them to the zoo." I said, "I did take them to the zoo. And they had such a good time and I had money left over, so I took them to the movies." Frank used to work a factory job and worked very hard. So he liked to spend his evenings with his friends at the bowling alley or, out shooting baskets at the gym, whatever. Well, his wife thought it would be nice of her to take him one night to a strip club. What the hell? There's no harm in looking. Well, as they're walking in the front door, the doorman looks at Frank and says, "Hey, Frank, how you doing? Good to see you again." And his wife looks at the doorman and says, "Excuse me, but does my husband come in here often?" The doorman says, "Oh, no, not at all. No, we're on the same bowling league. Yeah, so, I see him all the time." So they go in, they're seated at the table, and the waitress comes over and she says, "Frank, you want your usual?" He says, "Yeah, that works." His wife looks at him and says, "How do you know her?" He says, "Don't panic. She's on the ladies' bowling league that plays the same night that we do, and sometimes we got to share lanes with them, so that's how I know her." So finally the stripper comes over and says, "Hey, Frank, you want your usual lamp dance?" Frank's wife gets all pissed off, runs out the club, jumps into a cab, and as she's closing the door, Frank jumps in behind her. And they start bitching and yelling at each other. Finally, the driver turns to Frank and says, "Hey, Frank, looks like you've picked up a real skank this time." I remember years ago, Connie and me and her date went to the county fair one night, right? Well, we get to the county fair and her date says to her, "What's the first thing you want to do?" She says, "I want to get weighed." Well, you have to remember that Connie was always a little weird, so I didn't think anything of it, but her boyfriend thought it was a little strange. So we go over to the guy who guesses weight and checks her up and down and guesses her at 123 pounds. And then she gets on the scale and she weighs 119 and she wins a prize. So the next thing we do is we go on the Ferris wheel, right? We go round and round and round. We have a good time. We get done with the Ferris wheel and her date asks her again, "Okay, what do you want to do now?" She says, "I want to get weighed." He thought, well, now he's starting to think she's weird. Of course, I know differently. So we get done with the Ferris wheel and her date Harold asks her again, "Okay, what do you want to do now?" She says, "I want to get weighed." Oh, yeah. So they go back to the weighing guy, and this time, of course, he gets her weight correct, and Harold loses his buck. So we go ride the magic carpet. So we go do that. Okay, we get done with that, and Harold asks her again, "Now what do you want to do?" She says, "I want to get weighed." Oh God! Now he's thinking she's weird, just like I know she is, right? So we go back to the weight guy again, and again he guesses her weight, she gets weighed, and Harold loses his buck. Well, we all head out and go home. We get back to Connie's apartment. Her date opens the door for her, gives a little peck on the cheek, and says goodnight and takes off. So we go upstairs to Connie's apartment, and we walk in the door, and her roommate says to her, "Hey, Connie, how did your date go?" She said, "It was awful, Wawa. I wanted to get weighed." Oh, she had that Baba Wawa thing going on. and her boyfriend didn't know it. Come back again. Bye. Hey, you. Subscribe.